Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brian, the Casual Brian, with another casual podcast. Today, we're talking about Black creators, Joe Rogan and Whoopi. And I'm also going to drop some social media tips for you. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Uh, so thankful to everybody who's been checking out the podcast. Thankful for all the guests. We have a couple more guests coming. I know we have one on Friday. And actually, that one will probably be on Monday. Hope you enjoyed Ryan's podcast. But again, yeah, today we're talking about Whoopi, Joe, Black creators, Black artists in general, and we're going to give you a couple of social media tips. So let's go ahead and get that switch going. We're also coming to you live from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You can listen to the podcast on all podcast streaming services. And I am also live on Instagram. Shout out Instagram. I already gave you guys a shout out, but let's get into it. Switch up the screen. Please excuse the boxes. We're still in the process of building the office. I don't know if you can see. Can you see? We got some artwork. Should go this way. Can't wait to get that up. Shout out to Darcel for the dope framing and stuff. So yeah, man, I just want to talk a little bit about it's about cancel culture, you know. Um I feel like at this point now we can have this discussion because when the situation happened with Whoopi, a lot of people said, well, it's simply you can't say certain things, you know. And if you were to say a certain thing about black people, for example, then a similar thing would happen. Fast forward to Joe Rogan saying the N word 70 plus times. And, he came out and he apologized. But to the best of my knowledge, nothing bad has happened to Joe Rogan. They took down episodes with insensitive language, but and it's interesting because I'm still in the same place with Joe, but I kind of evolved because seeing the context of some of these clips, it's really just that old played out why can't we say the N word argument, because he goes into like you can say racist things against white people or Hispanic people or Latino people, but you can't say the N word. The N word is the only word you can't say. And it's just like, what's your point? What is your point? Is the point that that's a word that should be allowed to be said? I mean, I don't get it. I don't know what you're trying to the point that you're trying to make, and then I don't know what point you're trying to make by actually saying the word, you know? I feel like Joe Rogan gets into trouble this way. It's the same thing that makes people love him, is that you're not going to tell Joe what to do. He just doesn't care. He's not here for it. He's never been here for it. And because of that, people love him. He's going to give you a full conversation, and but I just think that at first I felt his conversation was more really about exploring the word in its context and the people that use it, and how it is treated and how it's perceived in society. But now some of it was that, and a lot of it was just why can't white people use the N word? It's unfair, you know. And I'm just not here for that conversation. Uh, Everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe, but it's to me, it's utterly ridiculous to think that white people not being allowed to say the N word is somehow unfair to white people. And so but the real thing that we're looking at is the difference between how the different races are treated. And I would argue that there is a severity to black speech. There is a sense of you can control it, which is Dave Chappelle's whole argument. That's the premise of the joke. Why is it that I can say the N word on TV, but I can't say the F word? And then, well, David, you're not gay. Well, to be black does not make you the N word. You know what I mean? It's I I struggle to get how people don't get it, because to me it's obvious, but that's because of my experience growing up. My life experiences makes it obvious to me. It's not about saying the words. It's not about Dave wanting to say the F word. It's about a third party who is white telling Dave what he is allowed to say and what he's not allowed to say, and him feeling like there's not equality in the discrimination of the two words. Because, in my opinion, if you don't want to hear the F word, you shouldn't want to hear the N word on TV. Period. Doesn't matter who's saying it. I don't feel that a member of the LGBTQ community would say that word. And if they say that word, I don't think it's okay. You know, I don't use the N word. I used to, you know, every now and then it'll come out. But more and more, I'm feeling like, why? 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 Why even wade into this debate? You know, I feel like every time I use that word, it's making life more difficult for people of color. Something that, like, if you grow up in New York, it's really interesting, man. This whole thing with Aquafina. If you grow up in New York, or I didn't grow up in New York, but if you live in New York, you will see that people of all races use the N word. I was in the sauna at the gym. Two people of Indian descent. I don't know exactly where, you know, but of Indian descent were sitting in the sauna and using the N word with me there. Now, definitely, it was like it wasn't a hard ER, but still, there's this sense that people can use that word if they have the right context, if they are of the right culture. And I don't mean like you grew up in this place and this place, meaning that, like, you're of a hip hop or urban culture. You can use that word. And I'll say this, and I know it's going to offend some people. I'm sorry, but it's just reality, and you have to. I would ask you to really ask yourself, is this true? If Joe Rogan would have said that, if that compilation would have been of Joe Rogan saying the F word, it would have been there would have it would have been done. He would have been done. You know. So I'm not happy with the disparity of treatment between Whoopi and Joe. I don't think that either should be canceled. But if you're going to suspend Whoopi for a bad take, how can you not? If you're Spotify, you know, pull his stuff for a week or two. How can you not if you're Netflix? I'm so surprised at Netflix, because I guess Netflix is a supporter for me. They supported Chappelle, but Netflix has been quiet, just hoping that nobody realizes that Joe Rogan has two specials on on what's it called, on Netflix. I don't know. I don't know, man. I I don't care about Joe so much. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm tired talking about Joe. But what I am concerned with is the way that they look over black people, and the way they speak, and the way that we can act, and what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. You don't get to tell me. You don't have to rock with me. You don't have to give me a platform. You don't have to endorse me. That's your right. But this sense of telling people what they can and cannot say, and then it just, the thing that sucks in America is that, in America there is clearly black, and everybody just tries to fall in the space, and get as close to whiteness as they can. Everyone, everyone. That means black people as well. Everyone aspires to get to whiteness. And so, as a result of that, everything is it affects black people worse. Have police ever beat up a white person? Of course. But it affects black people worse. Does gerrymandering and redistricting and vouchers affect lower income white families? Of course. Although vouchers were designed to help uplift them out of that situation. Everything in our country, because it was designed to be a utopia for white Anglo-Saxon men negatively affects black people. And it's just facts. I don't even know how we're debating it. And so so when you see situations, you see people like Whoopi. Now, this is funny to me because people feel like Whoopi was treated more favorably than other people. Whoopi said one thing. If you want to include Colbert, you can say two things, but she said one thing, really, essentially, this one argument she made. The wrestling lady, Gina Carrera or whatever her name was, she had multiple things that she was saying. I have a friend of mine. He's like, how can you be so lenient to Joe Rogan when you were so harsh for Trump? It was not like Trump said one thing or did one thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't compare Joe Rogan to Trump. And again, to my friends and family on the left, okay, you don't like Joe Rogan. What is your end game? You know? What are you trying to accomplish by canceling Joe Rogan? Are you trying to alienate 11 million people? Because I got news for you. People are not, hey, what's up, Aunt? People are not going to stop watching Joe Rogan. His fans are going to keep rocking with him. And, if the people that are making his life miserable are people on the left, progressives, I could easily see Joe turning conservative. Independent, but leaning conservative. You can a lot of independents, even though they're independents, they definitely have a leaning. You know, I don't know. I really am over the censorship of black people. Black people are told what they can and cannot say, and I think the penalties are harsher. I think that when you have sustained um, ignorance, then you get busted. Now, here's an example of something I didn't agree with. I didn't agree with Roseanne losing her job. I thought what she said was terrible, but I didn't agree with losing her job. And I think that the problem I have is the same problem I've been saying over and over. The people that wanted Roseanne to lose her platform were not the people that watch her show. So it doesn't cost them anything. If you are a big Roseanne fan and then you say, I love the Roseanne show, but it's got to go, then I respect that. I can respect that. But I don't respect these people who want to see change to things that have no effect on them. You know what I mean? Black people have protested some things, but then when they got to Papa John's pizza, I know it was hard for me. But then here was another thing with that. When they fired the guy, then you have to respond. You have to respond to them responding to your demands. Don't just keep Papa John's canceled because you canceled it. It's like I don't even like. Why are we canceling things and people? Let people learn. Let people grow. And this is another thing too. Rather than trying to cancel them, you just don't watch it. I like The View, but I don't like how they handled Whoopi Goldberg. I think she's proven herself to be an ally. She has a lifetime of service, and if a lifetime of service doesn't mean anything, then what's the point, right? So I don't watch The View, and I want to watch The View because that's something that me and my wife did. We watched The View together, but now I don't want to watch it. I don't want to support it. I know it doesn't make a difference because if it's on, it's on. It'll be registered in our house. But all I can do is give up what I give up. I'm not going to tell her she can't watch it. It's not fair, and that's kind of the point. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. I hope that black artists are not censored as much as they are. Right, and then that's a great point that my aunt brings up is they did nothing to Meghan McCain, and I think Meghan McCain said equally or worse things. She never got suspended one time. She never was. She definitely wasn't fired. And now she's just insufferable. Gosh, if you follow Meghan McCain on Twitter, It's awful. She's awful. But anyway, that's my talk on Whoopi, on Black creators getting it a little worse, and I want to leave on some positive. So I'm going to give a couple social media tips, uh, recommendations, things that I've been doing that I think that other people can do, and they'll see some results. So I've been boosting, and specifically in Instagram. So I um I'm running an ad. So I made a post and I boosted it as an advertisement. Um and I've gotten a huge return on it. I've already doubled and it's not done. I have I'm almost done. I have 2 more days, but I boosted the post and I've already doubled what I paid. And so I'm going to keep doing that until it doesn't beat what I invested. And if it does this and it does this for a month, then I'm going to up how much money I'm paying. I can't believe. Now, one thing I did differently is there's two things I did differently. I didn't try to make my own target audience. So before I used to make my own target audience. And I think that unless you're really good at that, don't try to make your own target audience. Facebook's going to do it better. And Instagram is Facebook. They have more touch points. You know what I mean? They understand exactly who your followers are, which is something that I've been learning over the course of seeing these boosted posts and the people that are responding to it. So the second thing I did was before I made my post, I looked at what they were showing me. Um the type of things that were coming up in my story, the way that they look specifically with clothing because I did a boost for my clothing. And I normally sell on a good month uh, 3 pieces of clothing a month. That's a good month. I've been selling 2 to 3 pieces of clothing a day, and uh, you know, and it's still a very modest amount that I used. I only did $10 a day, so $70, and I've already doubled that. I'm already more than doubled that. So you know what I mean? Consider boosting and do it from Instagram. But when you boost it, don't just boost anything. Make it look like the stuff that you're seeing uh, in the stories and on feeds. And so what I did was I did screenshots of my clothing against white in a carousel post, 4 posts, and it's been converting. So I'm excited. I highly recommend you try it. I'm telling everybody about it. I'm going to make a post about it that I'll probably drop on Friday because I think it can be very effective. I think now if you're offering a service, it might be a little bit more complicated because they're going to probably want to ask you questions about your service and so on and so forth, and you'll probably have to do a little bit of closing. But for like items, I think that this is the way to go. The second thing I want to talk about, the second thing I've been boosting is for my own personal brand. I made a post that was very motivating and a lot of people liked it. And so I decided to boost it. I boosted it and it converted in a big way. So far, it's doubled my following. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that every week because I'm also boosting and I don't have a massive advertising budget at the end of the year. But, I'm excited about this. I think every other week I'm going to keep doing this. I'm doing a lot of reels. Um, and what I did and how I chose the post to boost is I looked at the post that was doing the best. And before I boosted it, a lot of people responded, got some comments. This is good. Love this. So I said, okay, this is resonating with people. Let me boost this. I boosted it and it's been converting. So within Instagram, I highly recommend people look into boosting posts. It works. But whatever you're boosting, make sure it looks like what you're seeing being uh, uh, boosted or given to you. So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, my private message, my DM. Thank you, everybody who's checked in on Instagram. Thank you, everybody who's checked in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. If you haven't already followed, go ahead and smash that follow button or subscribe button. You know what's appropriate. And to the podcast listeners, thank you so much for you. Hoping to have another guest this week. I don't know if we have somebody booked. We had somebody booked, but then we had to move them around. So, but we will have more guests. I love having guests. Super, super excited. Okay, I'll be looking out for your text message. And so until tomorrow, everybody have a great day and stay casual. Peace.